We have a kind of I'll call it a mashup of how things might run at companies in the Bay Area versus how things might run at a more traditional, hardware type company. So we cut up, if you can imagine a quadcopter. Quadcopters are hot right now. There's four blades to a quadcopter. The first person or blade in that quadcopter at Sonos is the product manager. So they're responsible for the vision of the product, whether it's hardware or software. They're the voice of the customer, so they're standing up for what our customers want, and they're kind of the voice of what Sonos wants. Then the second role in that is a program manager. The program manager's job is to drive the schedule and budget activities for that project, once again, for hardware or software. We then have a third role, which we call the product creation leader, whose job is to take the idea that the product manager has put out there and drive that from a napkin sketch to the day we make them by millions in Asia. So the product creation leader is kind of the system architect, like I said, the charismatic leader, the person that's driving this initial idea all the way to the day we can make them in Asia. And then the fourth role in that is a manufacturing role. So they receive the finished design from the product development team, and their job is to now figure out how to get this to a manufacturable state and drive that until we're stable. So program management is interesting at Sonos. We actually split up program management in the large sense as far as taking a product to market, because when you're launching, let's say, the Play 1, it's not only just the piece of hardware you're launching, there's a huge software component. There's the website needs to be ready. The customer support team needs to be trained. Manufacturing needs to be ready. So there's a logistics team that has to be up to speed. So the program managers at Sonos own this overarching large launch of what we'll call the Play 1, although there's lots of other pieces to it. As far as getting into the, so the program manager owns that launch and that budget, which is a multi-million-dollar budget, and includes a huge chunk of it is actually the hardware development, but is also a huge chunk of other. The product creation leader actually owns the detailed schedule and detailed activities around the design of the hardware and the hardware's budget. So to speak specifically about the hardware budget, we actually have a process where every Friday, no matter what program we're working on, we roll up a detailed cost analysis of the product. And that's released every Friday. We actually put out a graph of what it costed to make that product, and we track that graph over time. And initially, that number is very high, and we have a red line, a green line in the graph, and if it hits above red, we stop the project. If it's below red, we keep moving forward. There's kind of two big chunky phases. The first is figuring out what you're gonna make. And I would say that's more close to what you might experience at a university, where you're in a lab, hacking things together, doing prototype kind of work, trying to figure out how to make this thing work and meet the goals that you set out to do. We do that at Sonos for the initial phases, and we'll call that phase exploration, and that's one chunk of 6, 7, 8 major phases at Sonos. But real quickly, we will bring in people from our manufacturing team who are manufacturing engineers, degreed manufacturing engineers, have spent a lot of time in Asia, and they will be working with the product development team and the hardware team to infuse, at the beginning, it's questions. Hey, how is this going to be assembled? How can we put this together faster? Is there a way we can get down from 100 screws to 50 screws? So we actually inject those people very early in the process at Sonos to ensure that not only are we designing a product that meets the requirements of what our customer wants and what the product manager has envisioned, but also it's something that we can make in high volumes in Asia. At Sonos, we have this concept of what we'll call right product. Right product is a very subjective thing, and it's something you won't learn in an engineering school. But at Sonos, right product is a healthy balance of right price, manufacturability, great industrial design, great performance, great user experience. And if you can imagine maybe a puzzle, or we actually use like a image of like a nucleus, and if that nucleus is out of balance, you have all these different components to it, in the middle being right product, we won't move forward. So the goal of the product creation leader is to get that healthy balance of design, of manufacturability, cost, schedule. So that's really how we kind of drive the concept at Sonos. And if one of those things gets out of whack, immediately the product creation leader is holding meetings, having the conversation with the right people to solve that issue.